So here we are going to focus the origin of the cranial nerve. Let's arrange ourselves. So this is our cerebral peduncle. This is our pons. This is our medulla oblongata, and from here we got our spinal cord. Now see, when we are arranged ourselves, so this is our oculomotor nerve coming from this interpeduncular fossa and medially. This nerve is our trochlear nerve, and it's coming laterally. Now focus in this nerve. This is coming from the pons, and laterally this is our trigeminal nerve. Now see, this nerve which is anterior and medial, this is our abducens nerve. Now lateral to the abducens nerve, you see this nerve, and this nerve is our facial nerve. And lateral to the facial nerve, you guys know that it is our vestibulocochlear nerve. Claro? Now see more below, at the level of medulla oblongata, superiorly you will see this nerve. This is our glossopharyngeal nerve. Then you see this big nerve, and this is our vagus nerve. Then just below here you can see another nerve coming like this. This is our accessory nerve, and it has some spinal branches I just talked to you about, and this is that. And from here you can find the last nerve is our hypoglossal nerve. Claro? Okay. Now let's move forward. So here in the sixth, focus the fourth ventricle. So fourth ventricle is associated with our pons and medulla oblongata. So this is our cerebral hemisphere. If this is midbrain, this structure will be our cerebral aqueduct. This is pons, this is medulla oblongata, and this is spinal cord. In the spinal cord, you guys know that this is our spinal canal. Now you see these two tubes are expanding posteriorly, because posteriorly we have our cerebellum, and yes, this is the structure of fourth ventricle. So it's look like a tent, and in the tent you will find a floor, and this is the floor, and you will find a roof, and this is the roof. So you can say the posterior wall of the pons or the medulla oblongata is the floor of the fourth ventricle. Claro? Let's move forward. Now see, in the 7, posterior view in the sagittal section. If you want to see the posterior wall of pons, you have to remove this structure, right? Then you can easily visualize the posterior wall of the pons. Now let's move forward. Now for instance, think we removed the cerebellum. Now you are going to see the posterior view in the coronal section. So in this diagram, I want you guys to focus the foramens. Now you see this foramen is what? This is not actually a foramen, this is a duct, which is our cerebral aqueduct. So to visualize is more good. Suppose you are in the fourth ventricle, you are looking upward. In the upward, you will find the cerebral aqueduct. You put your two hands laterally, and you will find the foramen of Lashka. Remember, L for Lashka, L for laterally located, and your two legs are in the spinal canal. Claro? Okay, let's move forward. So in the posterior view, we are going to find two structures known as median sulcus and stria medullaris. What are these? Let's see. So see here, medially we are going to find a depression, and this depression is known as median sulcus. No doubt about this. Medially depression sulcus. And here you see this green structure located in between the pons and medulla oblongata, and this structure is grossly look like this striation. That's why it is known as stria medullaris. Claro. And this stria medullaris is actually the junction in between the pons and medulla oblongata. Claro. Let's move forward. Here we are going to clear one concept. So what do you mean by internal genu of our facial nerve? And remember, genu means turn. Now you guys know at the level of pons we have the nucleus of abducens, and the abducens nerve is emerging directly anterior. But what happened to facial nerve nucleus? So facial nerve goes posteriorly, make a turn around the abducen nerve, then moves anteriorly. And that's why you guys find a protrusion or colliculus or swelling at the posterior wall of the pons, and this is known as our facial colliculus. And you know, this is our midbrain, and in the midbrain posterior wall we find two colliculus, superior colliculus and inferior colliculus. Claro? Okay, now coming to the 10. In the 10 we are going to again find some another structure regarding posterior view, which are facial colliculus just described, medial eminence and sulcus limitans. What are these? So medially you will find a depression which is known as median sulcus. You guys already know that. And you see this striation, which is green structure known as our stria medullaris. You guys know up to this one. Now focus to this. Lateral to the median eminence you will find a swelling. So this structure are swelled up, and this is known as medial eminence. Eminence means protrusion. So this is our median eminence, just a swelling or protrusion. And lateral to that you will find again a depression, and this green depression is known as our sulcus limitans. Claro? Now, okay, we will discuss in gross. Just wait a little bit. Now you see this structure, it looks like some, yes, vestibular nucleus. You guys know vestibular nerve emerge from laterally, and at the lateral, because vestibular nucleus is very big, it gives a impression at the posterior wall. That's why we see this vestibular area. Claro? Okay, let's move forward. Here I want you guys to get a gross visualization of ventricular system. Again, let's focus ourselves very fast. This is our midbrain, this is our pons, and this is our medulla oblongata, then this is spinal cord. Claro? Now see, this is in the midbrain, you will find what cerebral aqueduct. So this is our cerebral aqueduct, no doubt about that, right? So it opened up where this is our third ventricle. Okay, we will discuss it later. And the wall you are seeing this is our thalamus. We will discuss it later. Now let's say this is expanding like this, the tent, you know, the tent. And yes, this is our fourth ventricle. And from the fourth ventricle, you guys can easily say, okay, this is our spinal canal, right? Now you guys know the point of the fourth ventricle is known as fastigium. Just remember this point. And another important point regarding to this is foramen of Magendie. You remember this one. Laterally you found that Lashka, foramen of Lashka, but posteriorly you will find the foramen of Magendie. What is the significance? We will discuss in ventricular system. So now let's move forward, and here we are going to find some points again. Let's focus in the structure 11. So cranial nucleus of the cranial nerves. So you guys already have this idea. You guys know, okay, abducens nerve nucleus, facial nerve nucleus makes a genofacial colliculus, then gives a turn. These are our, okay. In the vestibule, when I say vestibulocochlear nerve, so vestibule has a particular nucleus and cochlear has some particular nucleus. So these green two balls are cochlear nucleus, and I wrote down as a posterior and anterior. Okay, so it has two nucleus, posterior, anterior, cochlear nucleus or dorsal ventral cochlear nucleus. And you see, this diamond shape is our vestibular nucleus. So in vestibular nucleus have four part of nucleus, and this is like superior, medial, lateral and inferior nucleus. Claro. If you focus this diagram more carefully, you will see the above structures, the superior, medial and lateral, are located in the inferior part of the pons, but the inferior nucleus is located at superior part of medulla oblongata. Yes, you have to remember this one. Okay, if you want to be more good in your anatomy. Now let's come to this 12. In 12, you are going to find this substantia ferruginea and locus ceruleus. What is this? First, remember this one, the function of locus ceruleus. What is the function of locus ceruleus? It says the major source of noradrenergic fiber for cerebral cortex. Okay. Now, let's move forward. You guys know this structure, this swelling, it is known as facial colliculus. Okay. Above the facial colliculus, you will find another swelling, which is known as, this swelling is known as substantia ferruginea. And if there is a swelling, there should be some collection of neurons under that, yes, and the collection of cell bodies is our locus ceruleus. And you see, if this is a cerebral cortex, locus ceruleus is giving this non-adrenergic fiber upwards and innervating all the cortical region. Okay. Now let's move forward to 13. In the 13, where we just discussed about the tegmentum and base, but we are going to do it in more detailed. Now see, this is our anterior view, this is our posterior view, and you guys know this is our basilar artery, basilar groove. Now you see that I talked about anterior is base, posterior is tegmentum. Now say, sir, what is the border? Focus here. The border is trapezoid body. So you will say, what is trapezoid body? I discussed it in the Pons video, but we will discuss it again. Focus in the 14. Here we are going to discuss about the superior olivary nucleus and lateral lemniscus. So I discuss it in the Pons video, but we will have some little bit of glance. So this is our cochlear nerve. This is our dorsal and ventral cochlear nucleus. Okay, ventral cochlear nucleus. And you guys know that there will be, okay, the fiber will cross like this in both directions, and then the fiber upward, no doubt about that. So the first order neuron, so this was our first order neuron, then it will give the second order neuron, and the second order neuron will terminate to the star shaped nucleus, and this star shaped nucleus is known as superior olivary nucleus. Okay, and this whole bundle of fasciculus is known as our lateral lemniscus. Okay, and I'm just talking briefly. Okay, I talked it in whole detail in Pons video. And when you say, sir, this is superior olivary nucleus, I understand it is an intralateral laminar nucleus. So where is the inferior olivary nucleus? Okay, come here. You know, this is our pons and this is our medial oblongata. In medial oblongata, you know, this is pyramid, pyramid, olive, olive. Yes, this olive is our inferior olivary nucleus. Claro? Okay. Let's move forward to 15. In 15, we are talking about all the descending fibers. To be more specific, the cortical origin descending fibers. So you will find the corticopontine, corticonuclear, corticospinal. Now I'm going to just do a brief introduction here. Let's say these all fibers will cross the base. Means, let's say uh, this red fiber is originating from the cortex, then it's coming downward, crossing the base of midbrain, crossing the base of pons, then it is coming to the spinal cord level, then lower motor neuron, this boom. So this tract is our corticospinal tract. Now let's say there is another fiber, black one. So this fibers is coming like the originating from our cortex, then it is coming downward, crossing the base of midbrain, the base of pons. Then let's say here is one nucleus, and for instance, let's say this is our hypoglossal nucleus. And you know, hypoglossal nucleus innervates the tongue, and the lower motor neuron will innervates the tongue like this and will have some movement. Now we have another fiber. Let's say this is originating of a neuron cell body, then neuron, it's crossing the midbrain at the base, then it is coming to the base of pons but terminating in the pontine nucleus, and then second order neuron is coming from the pontine nucleus and entering into the cerebellum via the middle cerebellar peduncle. Claro? Yes. I hope this is clear for you guys. Now, this all are what? Descending fibers. What about the ascending fibers? Okay, you guys already, I hope you guys already have seen my ascending tract video. It will be very easy for you guys now. So, this is the ascending fibers. Medial lemniscus, you know, originating from dorsal white column. Spinal lemniscus, which is from anterolateral ascending tract, and spinotectal ascending tract. Then we have a lateral lemniscus. You guys know it's coming from the just I talked about, right? Yes, from our hearing mechanism. And we have our ventrospinal thalamic tract. Okay, I just remember I forgot you guys to told about the trapezoid body here. So just focus in 14. In 14 you see these cross sections, the fiber are crossing like this, and this cross section is known as our trapezoid body. Claro? Even though I have discussed it already in the Pons video. Okay, let's move forward. So in this section, we are going to see the structures related to posterior view of the pons. So this is our posterior view. Okay, let's arrange ourselves. So let's say this is our what? This is our midbrain. This is our medial oblongata. And this is our, sorry, this is midbrain, this is pons, and this is medulla oblongata. Claro? Okay. It happens sometime. In midbrain, you guys already know this is collicular, superior and inferior. Now let's focus in the pons. In the pons, you see medially this depression or sulcus, and this is known as median sulcus. And then laterally you see this whole elevation. This whole elevation is known as what? Median eminence, right? Okay. Now you see in median eminence, inferiorly you see this elevation or this circular elevation, this is known as what? This is known as our facial colliculus. And posteriorly you see another circular elevation. This is what I talked to you about. This is our substantia ferruginea. Under that we have what? Our locus ceruleus. If you forward, see in the 12th section. Okay, so locus ceruleus, substantia ferruginea. Claro. And see, more lateral to the medial eminence, you will see again this depression area. So this depression area is known as what? Our sulcus limitans. Claro. I hope this is clear. And we cannot forget this striations. You see this striation? Yes, this striation is known as our stria medullaris. I hope now everything is clear for you guys. Now let's move forward. So yes, here we are going to discuss a little bit of complex thing. First focus here. We are going to discuss the facial nerve nucleus. Okay, so in 17 you see facial nerve nucleus. Remember, again, see in this mini diagram, this facial nerve nucleus has many accessory nucleuses. Okay, the facial nerve nucleus mainly have fibers for facial expression. So what kind of fiber these are? Efferent fibers. So this is our efferent fiber going like this. Now you see there are some other association fiber. Let's take first. So this one is our Tractus solitarius. So Tractus solitarius also have some fiber giving to our facial nerve, and which is responsible for taste of anterior tongue. And this kind of fiber is what? This kind of fiber is afferent fiber. Signal is coming. Now see, we have another nucleus, and this nucleus is our superior salivatory or lacrimatory nucleus, which are in parasympathetic in nature. So you see these are what? Efferent fibers going from here. Okay, now our last nucleus will be this one. This is what? This is the sensory fibers from spinal nucleus of trigeminal. Okay, spinal nucleus of trigeminal. I will discuss it later. Just bear with me. So this is sensory. So sensation should be coming. So the fiber will be like this. So this whole nucleus are forming this facial nerve. Yes, this is a thing you have to mug up. Okay, let's move forward. So here we are going to talk about the trigeminal nucleus. Okay, so let's say trigeminal nucleus has actually 4 components, or to be more specific, trigeminal nerve has 4 nucleus. Okay, so this is our first. So this nucleus, which receives a fine touch from the pain, is known as primary sensory nucleus of trigeminal system. Okay, now this is our second, and you see this is going up, and this nucleus is receiving information of proprioception from the face, and this is known as mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal system. Now this third one is, you see this part is going downward, and it is receiving fibers for pain and temperature from the face. Claro? And you see one black nucleus is here. Okay, and this nucleus, okay, this nucleus is what? Spinal nucleus of trigeminal system. This is what? Mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal system. Why it is mesencephalic? Because it's going towards the midbrain, and midbrain means mesencephalic. Why this is spinal? Spinal, see, it's going towards the spinal cord. That's why it is spinal. Okay, remember like this. And this black nucleus, you see, this is the motor nucleus of trigeminal system, and it helps for mastication. Claro? What you have to remember, other than this, see, at the mid pons you will find two nucleuses, motor nucleus of trigeminal and primary sensory nucleus of trigeminal. Above the pons, up to midbrain, you will find the mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal. And below the pons, towards the up to the medulla oblongata, you will find the spinal nucleus of trigeminal system. This is the point you have to remember. Now, okay, if you're done with this, let's come to the 19. In the 19, we will discuss the function of medial longitudinal fasciculus. So you guys already know, okay, medial longitudinal fasciculus, oculomotor, trochlear, and abducens and vestibular. So tell how this actually happens. Okay, you have to just remember this one, interconnection between the brainstem nucleus. Okay, and the function is conjugated movement of eyes. Okay, now let's say an example. This is one beautiful girl and it is here and you want to see in this direction. Okay, now let's say this is right side. If you have to move your eye in the right side, this eye should be abducted and this eye should be adducted. I hope this is medial line and you know abduction and adduction, I hope. Now if this eye, right side eye, so definitely it will be right side and left side. If right side eye has to be abducted, then this fiber should be activated, and if the left side eye should adducted, then this fiber should be activated, you know, abducens and oculomotor. Now how the brain will communicate? The brain will communicate via this fiber, and this fiber is our medial longitudinal fiber. Now I hope you guys already understand the concept, right? And other nucleus will be inactivated, and this all fibers are collectively known as what? Medial longitudinal fasciculus. I hope this quick example can make you understand all the system. Now let's move forward. Okay, now we are going to apply all the concepts we just learned in one picture. So this is our lower section of the pons, and you guys know this is what? This is our trapezoid body, and you guys know how this is formed. Anterior to the trapezoid body, we will find the base, and posterior to the trapezoid body, you will find the tegmentum, and this is our fourth ventricle. Claro? Okay, if you are comfortable with this, let's move forward. What structure we are going to find in base? So in the base, so this is base, this is anterior, and I told you in my previous videos, anterior system is downgoing system. Claro? Okay. And you guys already just taught about that what are the systems. So let's say if this is our corticospinal, this red one, if this black one is our corticonuclear, then what we are left with, and let's say this fiber which is ending to the pontine nucleus, this is our corticopontine fiber, and one fiber focus here is decussating, crossing from the other side, then coming to the contralateral side. So this will be our pontocerebellar fiber. This is clear concept is, right? Now let's focus to our next segment. Now let's focus in the tegmentum. In the tegmentum, you see this structure, our medial lemniscus, which is ascending in nature, and you know from where it is coming. Here is our spinal lemniscus. Again, medial lemniscus from where? From the dorsal white column, right? Spinal lemniscus from where? Ascending for the anterolateral and spinotectal tract, right? And this is our lateral lemniscus. And lateral lemniscus from where? You guys already know. From our hearing mechanism, from our cochlear nucleus, right? Yes, you guys already know this one. Now let's focus medially. Let's focus to this nucleus. So this is what? This is our, yes, this is our abducens nucleus. And you know abducens nucleus and abducens nerve like this. Claro? Now you see facial nerve nucleus. So facial nerve nucleus, the nerve will go around and make a genu like this. Make a genu like this and then moves forward. But when it makes a genu, it give a impression here. And this impression is known as what? Our facial colliculus. You guys already know that. And you see this longitudinal fiber, which is located medially. We say medial longitudinal fiber. I just told you the function of this, right? Now I told you guys that facial nerve has many components. Okay. Now let's say if this is one nucleus and this nucleus is our, let's say, spinal nucleus of trigeminal system, okay, which is giving or receiving the sensory fibers. Let's say this nucleus is our tractus solitarius, which is responsible for taste, giving some fibers to facial nerve. Let's say this nucleus is our salivatory nucleus or lacrimal nucleus, which is doing salivation or lacrimation, giving some fiber to facial nerve. Now you see this whole fiber is our facial nerve. Okay. Okay, if you are comfortable with this, let's move forward. So you guys know this structure. This is our vestibular nucleus. So this structure is our vestibular nucleus. And vestibular nucleus gives an impression in the posterior wall. We say this is vestibular area. No doubt. And the inferior nucleus you cannot find because it is located where? In the medulla oblongata. Claro. Now you see these two pairs of nucleus. This is our cochlear nucleus, dorsal cochlear nucleus and ventral cochlear nucleus. Now you guys already know that dorsal cochlear nucleus and ventral cochlear nucleus give some fibers which comes like this, then they form this trapezoid body, right? You guys already know that. And at the end, what you will find that cochlear will give some fibers, vestibular will give some fibers, then we will get a nerve which is known as vestibulocochlear nerve, right? Okay, which is moving forward. So this is for now. Hope this video makes sense. And if you guys like this video, please share, subscribe, and if you have any questions, please comment down below. For now, thanks.